let's get into the slate if that's all right with you. We got 10 games here. So how we do it, Jules, we go through CLG Pick Em powered by East Coast Eyes, which is a weekly game that we allow fans to play. So they pick the winner outright for 10 games, and they pick the winner against the spread for these 10 games. If you get the winner right, you get 5 points. If you get the winner against the spread right, you get 10 points. There's a possible 195 to get on a weekly basis, and the winner nationally gets a prize from East Coast Eyes on a weekly basis. I believe this is the last week of Pick 'em because it's conference tournament. We're not doing it next week, right?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, last week of Pick 'em, but the tournament bracket is coming soon. A lot of announcements there. We're making a bracket, Jules. We're making a fucking bracket.
I love that.
Jules.
I love that.
You better make a fucking bracket.
Count me in.
With all the Rutgers guys.
Count me in. We need help at Rutgers, so let's see what happens this week.
Well, what you should do, and this is unofficial, I don't know if this is allowed, but if you were to create some sort of 50-50 Rutgers NIL pool, and then 50% goes to Rutgers NIL, 50% goes to the winner of this bracket, you send it out to 500 Rutgers alums, you get the next Ryan Conrad in the Rutgers Scarlet,
I like where your head's at.
Yeah, just a thought. Make a bracket. All right, Jules, you're going first here. So this is an interesting slate this week because you got a lot of conference tournaments that are kind of solidified already. So some of these games don't matter to a large extent, but they're great lacrosse games nonetheless. So we're going to try to explain for our listeners, what's going on in the conference layout, but also give some insight into these games so people are prepared for next week when conference tournaments really start. The Big Ten starts this Saturday. We got quarterfinal games. We're going to go through those. But we're going to start with Friday night. A lot of games on Friday this weekend, so get ready for it. Georgetown at Villanova. Games at 7 o'clock on Friday. Jules, this one goes to you. Who do you got winning?
Villanova is such a weird team for a lot of reasons, but I'm big on the culture of the programs, how I approach these things. Villanova, earlier in the season, they picked off Penn State. I think that they have done pretty good in the Big East, if I'm not mistaken. Let's pull up. Did they just beat? Is that accurate? Yep. So they're interesting in that Georgetown seems like they would be the better team, and then Georgetown's rolling the Big East. They're undefeated. But I'm not going to bet against Villanova at home, where some of those kids are a little bit younger. They're developing. They have a lot of talent. They're just a type of program where it's consistently inconsistent. But I would not be shocked if Villanova picks off Georgetown this week.
Wow, interesting. Who do you like coming out of the Big East? I know that's we didn't slate you for that question, but who do you like?
Yeah, to win the Big East, to win it all.
Yes,
in general, Georgetown. But I would not be shocked if they got picked off this week by Villanova.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. There. I think Villanova could steal one. Mike, we're going to you. A10 action. You saw an A10 game live last week. Now you get to pick one. Richmond at High Point Friday night at 5 o'clock.
Primetime A10 game. I mean, for a conference that I feel like a lot of people really are intrigued about, I feel like they should have a little bit more primetime games like that on a Friday. But battle for the 1 seed. Richmond's the clear favorite to win the conference tournament, but both High Point and Richmond are 5-0 in A10. And High Point shocked some people. They were a 1-win team heading into A10 play, and they've rattled off 5 straight. So I really think this is the first year in the A10 where the 1 seed, if you think it's going to be Richmond, is truly separated from everyone else in past years. In the A10, the 1 seed and the 4 seed could easily beat the 1 seed. It's just interchangeable. So I think 2 through 4 are interchangeable. And the 1 seed, which I think is going to be Richmond, who's going to win this game, is really the class of the A10. Just a fun fact. For people who don't know, the SoCon existed before the A10. High Point and Richmond played each other all the time. So this is a rivalry going back.
Yes.
They played each other in a 10 championship as well, but the Richmond Spiders have won 11 straight games in the A10. They're 18-2 overall in A10 play, which is insane in a really, really deep conference. I just got to stay with consistently. I think Richmond's a great team. I'm taking Richmond.
Yeah, included this one because the High Point story. It's been fun to follow this year. You probably wrote them off like we all did after their out-of-conference play, but they've done some special things in the A-10. Hayden, Big East action. We're going to you. Marquette at Denver. This game's at 8 o'clock on Friday. No one's talking about how Denver might miss the Big East tournament for the second year in a row.
Yeah, this is do or die for Denver. If they lose, they will not make the Big East tournament. So just to preface the Big East, Georgetown is a lock. They're undefeated. Villanova is a lock. The next two teams are between Marquette, Providence, and Denver. Providence plays St. John's this week, so that's pretty much a guaranteed win, and they're going to be in. So that leaves Marquette and Denver fighting for that fourth spot. And if Denver loses, they're out. If Marquette wins, they secure it, and Denver is left out of the Big East tournament. This game's at Denver, and Jules, kind of going back to your comment about team culture in these big games. I like Denver. I know they've been super up and down this year, but I think Grayson Manning is the best goalie in the Big East. I think he's probably the best player in the Big East, and I like Denver winning this game. I love Matt Brown. I've been saying that for a long time, and I think Denver's a team, like, they get in the Big East tournament, they could win it. So I'm taking Denver in this one.
If Denver loses, do they fire their coach?
No, you can't. You can't.
No chance.
He's been there for 10 plus years.
No chance. Such a hard school.
Yeah, but you missed the Big East. You missed the Big East tournament 2 years in a row.
Such a unique school. Like, the culture of them and what they built, his relationship to Coach Tierney, like that's a place that you have to be very particular about the coach that you hire, and who you bring in just for recruitment and stuff. So he's got a long
right. And he's as much of a piece of that culture and culture builder as Coach Tierney was. Like, he was Tierney's right-hand man for a decade. So
had to be asked, Denver missing the Big East tournament 2 years in a row, but good answer, boys. I trust you.
Dumb question.
Yep, dumb question, as they all are. Jules, we're going back to you. Patriot League action. Colgate at Army, 6 o'clock on Friday. This is a pretty good one. Army looked great last week against Loyola.
So I called the Army Syracuse game. The Army stuff always bothers me because they don't have that good of an out of conference schedule, and they were riding for a long time on that Rutgers win for how good, like what they were considered, and naturally we're in a tough spot for Rutgers heading to the Big East, the Big Ten tournament, with our only hope to get into the NCAA tournament to win the entire Big Ten, and then they beat Yale, who is, I've said this on the record, like, that's the last team I would want to play. And then, cool, like, you beat Loyola. Loyola was dead to rights for most of the season. Like, I just don't think Army's that good. Like, and then I watched Colgate this past weekend. Their goalie's fantastic, by the way. Sean Byrne for Army. I think that's the best player on their team. That's not the older Plunkett brother. But then you watch Colgate. They go to Syracuse. They have nothing to lose playing in the Syracuse game. And Hunter Druin is an absolute bucket. No respect. I haven't heard his name all year long. Just racking Riley Figueres. Didn't score all of them, but could have had a clean 5-2. And they play really hard. They're, like, pretty good. And they, again, have been written off because they actually had a really tough schedule. So I think they played Harvard, Penn State, and I forget Virginia, and they lost, and people are like, oh, like, Colgate's not very good. They won the Patriot League last year, So it's always this weird thing where, as a Rutgers alumni, I look at Army and I'm like, I wish they played harder teams at the beginning of the year for them to be more battle tested, and then not show up to the Patriot League, and potentially we're gonna be sitting here and then getting clipped off by Colgate again. Everyone's be like, oh, how good? Well, Colgate's good. It's like, yeah, they're pretty good. They just play hard schedule. So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
It's a good take. I mean, Army, like, they don't play a crazy schedule. Like, they always play UNC, and they beat Michigan, but, like, they're always playing these great teams really tight, which, like, how much does that tell you? Like, how much does it really tell you about Army? So I don't know, like, it's hard to say that Army's overrated, but to some degree they are. Maybe they are.
Yeah, I hate to say that.
All right,
I hate to
next,
say it, but it's
it's just.
Yeah, right. F-22 flies right over our apartment. No, I did see this thing on Sean Byrne. You talked about their goalie, Sean Byrne, for a sec. He was on some Black's Goalie Rat podcast. I don't know. He was talking about his eye black. So he does his entire face black with eye black. And then what he also does is he takes, if their helmet's white, he takes a Sharpie and he draws the inside of his face mask black because he wants the ball to look as bright as possible.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Is that voodoo bullshit or is that is that real?
That's what government.
He's a good kid though. He doesn't get enough respect in terms of goaltending.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah. Our tax-paying dollars going to Sharpies for Sean Byrne. I'm happy to do it. Happy to do it. All right, next one. Michael, going to you. The game, second rendition, back-to-back weeks. Michigan at Ohio State. It's a Big Ten quarterfinal. Saturday at noon.
Back-to-back weeks, the game, you mentioned it. I mean, these poor training staffs, right? I mean, these kids are kicking the shit out of each other 2 weeks in a row. I can only imagine. But Ohio State wins by 1 in dramatic fashion last week. Garrett Haas won with 3.4 seconds left, which is, I mean, exactly what you want in this game. I can only hope it is the same type of finish. Can Ohio State do it again? You would think statistically that this is a coin flip, and it was a coin flip last week. So statistically speaking, Ohio State has a 25% chance of winning this game. But when you look back historically, in the past 4 years, Michigan and Ohio State have played each other twice in 3 of those past 4 years. And the team that won has won both of those games.
Wow.
In the last, which is kind of crazy. So I'm going to go based off of that. I'm going to take Ohio State to beat Michigan again, even though it is a complete coin flip. And I would not be surprised if it went to overtime or was a 1-goal finish.
That's some deep digging for some great stats, Michael. Way to go. Great take there. Hayden, big game here. Duke at UNC. We talked to Brady Wambach. He's got blood in his eyes. Game's at noon on Saturday.
Yeah, big rivalry game, and that's kind of all that's at stake right now. The Duke UNC rivalry. So I guess Duke is kind of dead to rights. There is a possibility where they win this game. They'll be 1-3 in the ACC. They still won't be able to make the ACC tournament, but if UNC goes on to win the ACC tournament, right, a win against them could be big for their AQ. Or not AQ, but at large conversation, which would shake everything up. Like if Duke wins this game, it like they're going to be a conversation in a couple weeks. But the reality is Duke, their best win is against St. Joe's this year, who's not even a top 20 team, which is freaking crazy. Just like Duke Lacrosse, their best win is against St. Joe's, and they still have a chance to make, an at-large push if they beat UNC. Really their whole season comes down to this game.
Is it really possible for them to make the tournament?
It's possible if they beat UNC, like that's a big time thing in the at-large conversation. So it's possible.
Who do you put in if Army loses in the Patriot League tournament? They don't win it. Their best win is Yale and Rutgers with a loss to UNC. Duke's only good win is UNC. No bad losses. Who's the last team that you put in? And Ohio State might be flirting on the bubble as well. And Yale. Who are you putting in?
You just made it real.
I think Duke's at the bottom of that list for me, just because they haven't beat anybody, and they've played Carolina close, they played Syracuse close, they played Virginia close. I think Yale is making a real case for themselves. Just kind of the run that they've gone on, and especially if they, go and win a couple games in the Ivy League tournament.
Yeah, if they win one game.
The issue with Duke is that this is their last game of the year. They have to win this game. They don't have a chance to go play Virginia and get another win and then lose to Notre Dame. They just don't have that. So I really think Duke is at the bottom of that list, but it's Duke Lacrosse, and, there is some bias towards them, as there always is.
Definitely.
But, I don't know. To answer your question, I'd have to look at the matrix, but I think Yale is right there. I think Army's right there. If Army, wins a couple games in the Patriot League tournament, I think Patriot League wins at this time of the year are pretty valuable.
Army lost to Lafayette.
Yeah,
they did.
I know.
Who's lost 6 games in a row, and it's like. I remember when I was a senior at Rutgers, if you lost to a team like Lafayette, no matter what time of the year it happened, your season was over. No at-large opportunities. So that's why I think it's interesting with the committee. Duke doesn't have any bad losses, but they get one good win versus UNC. the resume starts to like not look as bad relative to an Army that maybe has a good win but lost to Lafayette.
That's a good point, right? Like
Army's not getting at large.
No.
If they didn't get it the last 2 seasons, there's no chance they get it this year.
Yeah,
They're not getting it.
But that's a good point, Jules. Like, all of Duke's losses are top 10 losses, like top 5 losses minus Virginia, really. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, I guess there's like so much up in the air,
There
but
is. You have to see.
Anyway, I like UNC winning this game. I didn't say that, but I'll take UNC.
I
Go
mean,
ahead,
yeah,
Mike.
you also just have to see what happens with the people in the top 10 right now. I mean, Harvard, Cornell are at 7-8 in the RPI. UVA's at 9, so they lose. I mean, then they're getting compared to Duke. I don't think Duke should jump any of them personally. So
Yep.
that's another factor, but we'll see.
Going to you next, Jules. Harvard at Cornell, 12 noon Saturday.
I've been saying this all year about Cornell. I'm not actually sure how good they really are. Their last 6 games, how many of those wins are top 10 wins?
I don't think any.
None.
Jamie?
Other than Duke,
Jamie?
if you count Duke as a
Dude,
I
Top
just
10
ran out of AI credits like 20 minutes ago, so
I don't think
you guys are gonna have
I
to.
don't think it's any. And you look at Harvard and how close they played Princeton, how athletic they are offensively. Graham Stevens in the cage. Like Harvard's an interesting team. I think they're building belief into how good they actually are. I don't know. The Syracuse win isn't so defining to me. Like I think Syracuse, having called them this weekend, they're really hot and cold. But I think Harvard takes this one. I'm not convinced how good Cornell, even though Willem Firth, he's fantastic. Like he might as well be a reincarnation of a Jeff Teat. He's not going to get any the Torton respect that he probably deserves. Ultimately, I hope he does get it. But yeah, I think Harvard takes it.
I like the Harvard pick here. I wonder I don't know the format for the Ivy League tournament. If it's I think the regular season champ would host. I don't think it's that doesn't say Columbus, or Columbia? No, so it'll probably be
at Ithaca or at Cornell.
Yeah, probably be at Cornell. That'll be a fun one, though. That Harvard game at their place this weekend was awesome. We talked about it a bunch on this episode. Next, Michael, Syracuse at Notre Dame, 12 noon Saturday.
Yeah, I'm thinking give me the under in this game. I really think that both of these offenses, Syracuse and Notre Dame, for what I've seen against really good defense, struggle a little bit. At least putting up the numbers that they can and have the talent to do. And I think it's a pretty even battle at the face-off X too, so it'll be a pretty even in possessions. But some fun matchups to watch in this game. Sean Light on Spallina, who just broke the point record at Syracuse. He's shown, some games he shies away, some big games he plays like the Spallina that people expect. Riley Figueres or Billy Dwan on Josh Yago kind of depend on Hughes has the ability to put them on who they think is a better matchup, which is pretty cool. And then the goalie battle, Jimmy McCool versus Tom Riccardelli, who I think is playing unbelievable for Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
As far as RPI goes, I think it's safe to say Notre Dame's in the tournament. They're going to be in the ACC tournament, so they have another chance to build that resume. Cuse is a little more interesting. They're at number 4 in the RPI. You think if they lose this, they still have a chance to win the ACC tournament, but you drop your last 2 games, I don't know. They could get to that bubble spot depending on what happens with some other teams. But I'm going to take Notre Dame at Arlada. I think they're the better team.
Jules, I heard you say, Sean Light should win the Tewaaraton. Is there any universe where he wins it? Is that how possible is that?
I'm going to go on the record and say I think I was the first person to say this on social media that he should win the Tewaaraton. And then I saw some people follow up and agree, which I was happy about.
Name it. Who?
It happens all the time.
Who
Gus,
said it?
brother.
Who said it?
Can't name names. But
We'll call him out. We'll find out.
I think it's an important it's got to be a narrative. I think the Tewaaraton Award is largely a narrative award. It's not actually because there's people who could win the Tewaaraton that aren't even in the top 25, but it's just the way that their elimination process goes, which I have no idea. I don't know anyone on the Tewaaraton committee. I don't know how they go about it. All I can speak to is who I think the best player in the country is, and I think with Sean, it's a unique year. Like there isn't any player to me that's so defining offensively. The stats offensively, like frankly, are terrible this year. I don't know if it's because the defense is playing really well. If they've adjusted to these players, like in the shot clock era, to have guys that have not eclipsed in 12, 13 games so far, 65, 70 points. Like to me, like if you look in the last decade, guys that have been able to do that with no shot clock, like, you know, there's been a shift there. So it's not like there's one guy standing out so heavily on offense. And then Wambach, he is obviously the most dominant player, but when he played Notre Dame, you know, you watch that game, what happened at the faceoff dot with Tyler Spano, like he handled him. And I think as a faceoff guy, like you have to look over the course of the season and to me have had a better season than a Trevor Baptiste or a TD Erlin and dominate for the committee to say we're going to give it to a faceoff guy. So when I start to like, you know, think about the different parts here, it's like if they're not going to give it to a faceoff guy because he's not completely dominating, there's no one dominant offensive player statistically. Like what the best team to me in the country is Notre Dame. If they're going to get to the Final Four, potentially national championship, you look on that team, he's the best player. Like you kind of have to give it to him. But at the exact same time, who are they actually going to give it to? If Spallina does decent on Sean Light this weekend, I think he is a lock for the award. Because
Do you think you can win a Schmeiser and the Twarton in a single year?
It's a defenseman's dream.
That would be amazing.
He should, but if Spallina, having broken Mikey's record, gets Syracuse into the tournament, wins at least one game in the tournament, you look at a career award, which it historically has been a career award at times. I would see them giving to Spallina because they can't give it to Wambach if he doesn't have a completely dominant season, and they're going to be hesitant to give it to a defender. And Spallina is like the most glorified player in terms of stats and just, you know, career achievement. And not to say he doesn't deserve it, but in years past, like there's been players that have been more deserving offensively than Spallina has been from statistical output.
Right, that's a good point. Like the narrative could switch real fast if he like pops off this weekend, you know.
Yep.
But
I want Sean Light to lock him up. I'm not a Spallina hater, but like I just want a defenseman to win the Tewaaraton. I want you to be right, Jules. I want Sean Light to just dominate this matchup and make it undeniable that he should win the Tewaaraton and the Schmeiser.
Podcast.
Yeah, friend of the podcast, Sean Light was on 2 episodes ago. We loved Sean. Next up, what do we got here? Hayden. A-Sun, Air Force at Utah, 2 p.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, you know, this game doesn't mean a whole lot.
You literally wrote, this game means very little.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't. Like, the A-Sun tournament is pretty much locked. Utah, Jacksonville, Air Force, and Mercer will be the 4 teams in it. It's being hosted at Jacksonville. So Jacksonville is probably going to be the 2 seed here if Utah beats Air Force, which is likely. Utah is really playing to keep the number 1 seed. They'll be undefeated in the A-Sun if they beat Air Force this week, and then they get the privilege of playing Mercer first round, which is, you know, almost a guaranteed trip to the final. But either way, you're going to have to play Jacksonville or Air Force at Jacksonville in the championship. So, you know, for Utah, like, the seeding does matter here a little bit, and I think Air Force going to Utah. I think Utah's going to win this game. I think they've been solid all year, and I like them to win the A-Sun.
Love it
Outright.
Yep. Rutgers at Maryland. Big Ten quarterfinal. Who you got? Saturday at 6 o'clock.
The back's against the wall. Maryland beat us 12-2, I think, last game. And I say us being a Rutgers alumni, completely non-biased take here. Season's on the line. Have to win this game. Rutgers is going to pull this out. They beat Maryland last year for the first time in like 40-something years. I think they're going to be able to get it done.
Love it.
Hell yeah.
Love it, Jules. You're the man, brother. Thank you so much for joining us. This is unbelievable. You're a hard working man. You got to call at 9:30. That's impressive.